New South Wales has gone from living a COVID-free life to having Greater Sydney in lockdown, borders shut to its residents and restrictions reimposed in regional areas. The first case, a man in his 60s, now known to be a limo driver for international flight crews, was recorded on Wednesday, June 16. And from case 1 in the latest spike, events have moved at a rapid pace. There are now 130 locally acquired cases in New South Wales. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded.
One of Sydney's busiest shopping centres, Bondi Junction, now again a COVID concern.
It's still a bit nerve-wracking. I mean, you take all your precautions and everything like that, but, you know, everyone gets a bit relaxed when we've had no cases for so long.
A new positive case, a man in his 60s, came here last Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Last night, pathology confirmed that this gentleman has the Delta strain of the virus.
The so-called Bondi cluster has now swelled to 9. Masks are now a must indoors across several Sydney suburbs.
My strongest message to the community is the next few days are critical. Now, we've held off on being more heavy-handed than what we are.
Hopefully not lockdown. New South Wales has been pretty good avoiding lockdown.
We are taking this threat very seriously and we're asking the community to do so as well.
The real challenge for us at this stage is to prevent any super spreading events.
One of the biggest questions being posed is if Sydney is headed for another lockdown. The Premier says because all but one case is linked, she's feeling relatively confident.
I have to say, as the New South Wales Health Minister, I'm as worried right now as I have been at any time since January last year.
I really want the public to be prepared and to know that this is an evolving situation and the New South Wales Government will not hesitate to go further and harder.
The government is standing by its strategy and is resisting calls for a short, sharp lockdown for now. The Chief Health Officer says her team can keep up with contact tracing.
What the AMO believes would be the right move is a lockdown of the Sydney Basin, the whole of Sydney, doing the same thing, rules applying equally to everybody.
It's a very proportionate response. We've chosen not to do the stay-at-home orders in a broader area. From 6 p.m. today, all of Greater Sydney, the Blue Mountains, the Central Coast and Wollongong will go into a lockdown.
What we're seeing is by the time we've got there and uncovered these chains of transmission, we have had a number of people infectious in the community.
Although other states' clusters emerged just after New South Wales lockdown, almost all of the new cases across the country aren't related to that state. So let's take you through what we know about where they came from. First to New South Wales, facing the biggest threat. Greater Sydney and surrounding regions are under lockdown as cases continue to climb. This cluster started with a limousine driver who likely picked it up from a US aircrew when transporting them from the airport. And from there it spread to Bondi and beyond. The strain is spreading as the Delta variant, first found in India, and is far more contagious than the original coronavirus that we dealt with in the first wave. And the same strain has been found in other parts of the country, including yesterday in Western Australia. The Premier there brought back restrictions because a Perth woman who returned from Bondi tested positive after spending several days in the community. Then there's the Northern Territory, presumed to be the same strain of the virus, but springing from a different quarantine leak. A domestic worker from Victoria was infected during a short stay in quarantine in Brisbane. Then the worker travelled to a gold mine in the Top End. It's led to a growing cluster, and the concern for the entire country is that 900 workers left that mine, including several hundred to Perth and Brisbane. 2 of them have already tested positive, 1 in Queensland, giving that state a second cluster to manage. The first cluster was sparked by a flight attendant who tested positive after spending 14 days in quarantine. For a nation used to zero community transmission, it's a growing challenge for all states and territories.